All right, but anyways, man, hey, thank you for this is our first podcast, our first episode with a guest, and I think it's only right that you came on. Being our history, man, we've all been friends forever, but yeah, I thought it was only right that you were the first guest. So, man, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys having me on, man.
What you been doing, man? Off season. Season didn't end too long ago. Obviously, been a couple weeks, but how's it been these last couple weeks? Just reflecting on last year.
It's been good, man. I have some time off to reconnect with family and friends and just get off your feet. It's a long season, a lot longer than college, and it's a lot more difficult on the body as well. Everybody's bigger, stronger, faster, so the impact and hits that you're taking on a weekly basis, they add up. So it's been nice to kind of decompress from that, take some time with my feet, and get my body and mind right.
But I just want to rewind a little bit. Obviously, the season just ended, but going back to that draft weekend, obviously, I mean, we were all rooting for you to get drafted. I'm biased, but I thought you should have been drafted. But ultimately, you weren't. But looking where you are now, all you could ask for was an opportunity, and you got it, and you made the most of it. But kind of what was that whole weekend like for you emotionally?
It was tough, like you said. I mean, the dream is to get drafted, right? But also the dream, for me was just to get a shot at playing in the NFL, and ultimately that happened. Sitting through 7 rounds of the draft, hoping to hear your name call, getting, prospective calls from coaches, seeing how you're doing, talking about taking you maybe here, there, maybe there. It's a tough process and it's a long day. So if you just watch the draft as a fan, it's hours and hours. And now imagine watching it with an intention of seeing your name come up on the screen. So, it was tough, but ultimately it worked out for the best.
And I always think about that. How it's like a 3-day thing. Obviously, the viewership's the highest on day one. But if you're a player and you don't necessarily know where you're going, I mean, you're in front of the screen for hours. So, I mean, I can only imagine actually personally going through that.
It's tough.
But I do remember sitting there on that last day just in front of my TV just waiting because I didn't want to miss that moment. Like, if you did get drafted, like I couldn't miss that. But I was just thinking like, man, it's just a long, like I felt like I was about to get drafted. But obviously that's wasn't the case. But ultimately you did get the call from the Jets. And I know there's a whole process that goes in that. You were on a top 30 visit to the Jets. It wasn't a big surprise. Like you knew that was going to be a good fit for you. Like you get off the phone with the Jets. How long after that phone call do you really like take a moment to yourself and be like, wow, you know where you're going, you know what you got to do? Like how long after that until you really realize like, damn, I'm in the NFL?
I'd say honestly, like even after that, after getting the call, it all happened so fast. So, a lot of people don't understand, but undrafted free agents, like that happens like while the draft is still going on, really. Some teams are out of picks. Some teams are picking their last thing. They might be looking for an offensive guy or a different position. So now they're already searching for what undrafted guys they want to sign. So all that stuff's taking place. Most teams have all their guys locked in within 30 minutes after the draft game. So that happens. As an undrafted free agent, you get the choice to select which team you want to go with. So within 30 minutes, you're making all these decisions, and it kind of all comes at you fast. So I don't think I really took it all in until I probably reported for rookie minicamp and kind of got in the building because, it's just you're at home, like, and there's a period of time where as a late round guy, even drafted guys, you don't report until that rookie minicamp day. First round picks go early, so they can take visits, talk to coaches, all this stuff as soon as they're drafted. But for everybody else, it's like 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks before you even go to the team that either drafted you or signed you. So there's a little bit of downtime there where you're still working out, still feel like, I've still got to earn this opportunity. So it was not much mindset change.
That is interesting. I've always wondered about that because I know just following Steelers social media accounts for all the years, just after the first round and the early round guys get picked, you always see them literally there the next day, taking videos, doing tours of the city and stuff. So that's actually interesting to hear that, you're kind of sitting in limbo for a few weeks and wait and actually get on the campus and get everything going.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly it is. It might just be first round guys. It might be first and second. But I know for sure, like day 3 guys, you're not going out there until it's time to report for rookie minicamp.
That's interesting. I never knew it was that long until you actually report. Yeah, I can only imagine that feeling, getting there and opening the front doors and actually like walking in. It's definitely no normal first day on the job. That's for sure. Yeah. That's crazy.
Obviously, Brandon was there. First off, how was that for you, Brandon? You were at Dean's house. Obviously, I'm here in Florida, so I couldn't make it. But you were there when he was going through that whole last day of the draft, and then you were obviously there when he got to put the Jets hat on. How was that for you?
I mean, it was cool, man. I was just trying to be a fly on the wall, honestly. I mean, obviously, that's a day for him and his family, and just being there was super cool. I've been a fan of the draft for years, so just getting a chance to watch it with somebody that obviously we've grown up with. And him being a part of the draft, having a chance to get taken, and then finally land somewhere, it was cool. But like I said, just wanted to be a fly on the wall for it and just let him experience it and just kind of soak it all in. It's definitely a once in a lifetime thing for not a lot of people.
And then Dean, I remember after you got off the phone, I remember you posted an Instagram story. It was just you. You were a young kid. It was you in a Massillon football jersey. I don't remember what grade. It was probably third or fourth grade. But you just posted that. Is that kind of the first thing you thought of? You finally achieved your dream of making it there. Did you take a moment to reflect on just all the practices and workouts and what you did mentally and physically to get you to that point?
Yeah, I just think that was a good representation of, the ability we all have to do what we set out to do. Because it's a slim margin to make it to the NFL or to even get a shot. If you would have saw me back then, you see this kid's small, this kid undersized, small town, probably not going to make it. So just kind of representative. If you just take it day by day and you put the work in and you believe that, anything's possible.
Yeah, your journey alone was just unique. I mean, kind of like you said, just thinking about not making it and stuff. Like you spent a good amount of time in college. You weren't like a 3-and-out guy, 4-and-out guy. You spent an extra year, and then also going through all the NIL stuff and the transfer. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you definitely took a more unique route. And a lot of people, I feel like once they get to that point, their chances just continue to drop. I mean, you still made it through. So it's definitely a big achievement.
Definitely. And the thing I've noticed too, since being in the NFL, is that there's a lot of different stories, but the common denominator is guys persevere. Because you could be a 3-and-out guy and have all this, hype and stuff like that, but eventually you have to overcome something to be able to stick with it. And then there's guys, like me, 6th year undrafted, had to fight and claw to make the team, make a spot. And everywhere there's stories of all these guys, no one's in the NFL by luck, and no one stays just because they're, were the first round pick. Even guys get cut all the time, any round. So you gotta really earn your keep every single day. That's something that's common.
I mean, yeah, man, I'm a Browns fan. I've seen a lot of first-round picks just not make it very far, man. But then you see all these stories of undrafted guys. I mean, the one that everyone wants to talk about is, I mean, it's old and cliche now, but like Tom Brady, for real, like it's crazy to see how he's like considered the GOAT and he was a 6th-round pick. But
I was just going to say off that, I mean, undrafted, we're sitting here on the podcast. I listen to a podcast twice a week with an undrafted guy, man. Arian Foster. Nobody really ever knows that he was undrafted, but that dude, he was your first pick overall in fantasy for years. And he found a way to pave through. Guy had a fumbling problem in college. I mean, that was his issue, and still made a way to, I mean, probably not Hall of Fame, but he's a stud, man.
And then you started your career at Kent, obviously, right out of high school. And there's been guys there that have been undrafted and have great careers in the NFL. Kind of looking back on your college, like being at Kent for 3 years, you played for a great coach, Sean Lewis. I know he helped you a ton, and then you ultimately made the decision to transfer all the way across America to Fresno State. Kind of how did both of those schools and both of those coaches that you played for kind of help you to be where you are now?
A lot. Both staffs, both schools, they were really different. Talking about Kent State, when I first committed there, they were the worst program in the FBS. Hired the youngest coach in college football to come and turn it around. Like, you look at that situation, it's like, okay, the same thing. Like, you got to keep persevering. Like, people didn't believe that he could turn that place around and win football games. Then he recruited guys that believed. He recruited me, and eventually we kind of turned it around. And so he was a big part in extending and keeping like my mindset that I developed in high school further into college. That like, you got to work, you got to believe, and these things will eventually happen. It might not happen overnight, but eventually, it'll fall in your favor. And then when he left and I went to Fresno State, it was kind of polar opposites. Fresno State's a pretty good program. Historically, they've been good. They've had great alumni, great fan base, a city that loves football. So kind of the opposite of everything Kent was. So then,
historic coach.
Yeah. So then I kind of felt like that reminded me more of being and playing at Massillon for a town and a fan base that loved football. Because for so long I was playing at Kent where, the fans, the college kids, they didn't really care about the team. So you really had to, bring it every weekend just based on your team's energy and stuff like that. And then Fresno, I got to really dive into that fan base and play for them and my teammates there. But it was a good experience both. I wouldn't change my college experience for anything. It was 6 years. It was a long 6 years, and it was tough at times, but I learned a lot. I became a much better football player, and it worked out.
Yeah, there's nothing like them Tuesday night action grinds, man. I remember watching them. I couldn't
Man,
imagine playing.
Tuesday night football, you really gotta love football. You see these guys on TV playing in the snow and the cold, and you're like, man, this is tough. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
out in the
Tuesday's
middle of
crazy.
nowhere, Michigan, just getting snowed on, 25 degrees. Man,
Terrible.
Then you got to drive a bus back, get a bus ride back in the middle of the night, wake up and go to class. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
But going off Fresno, man, obviously he played for 6 years. I mean, the first game I got to watch, he was at Michigan. That was one of the best experiences of my life. But he had a great year there. And then he had an amazing pro day. I don't think a lot of people know this. 4.40. That's crazy. 41-inch vertical, 19 reps on the bench. How do you think those? Because I mean, football is physical, man. You know that. I'm out here preaching to the choir, but how important was that pro day for you to get to where you are now?
Very. I think that pro day, helped me a lot with scouts and across the league just to get further establish my name on their radar. Because a lot of people don't realize the draft is a bunch of boxes you have to check in that whole process. So the first box is obviously, can he play? You watch the film, is this guy, does he produce, how are his stats, his size, that type of stuff. And then once you get a pro day is, okay, is he athletic enough to play and last in the National Football League? So then you got to check all those boxes. And then once you get to like interviews and stuff like that, it's okay, is this guy, smart enough and, has the emotional intelligence to last throughout like a rigorous football season and playing in the National Football League. So throughout that process, you're checking all those boxes. So, obviously I produced in college, so I was able to put out good film, check that box. So the pro day is that next big box. And, you run 240s, you run 2 shuttles, you jump twice. Like it's all set in one day for you to hit you need the best performance of your life, basically. So, it's a lot in one moment, but I think I definitely took advantage of it, and it helped me a lot.
Yeah, man, that's crazy when you put it like that. You got 2 chances for the rest of your life, man. And I mean, you see guys all the time. You see guys slip and fall on a 40. You see guys like it's. I mean, yeah, man, I couldn't imagine.
It's crazy. And guys, when they say guys lose money, they really lose money because if say you have film, and like I said, you need to check this box that you can run, and then you run super slow. It's okay. You just went from a 5th round, 4th round pick to maybe undrafted, maybe a rookie minicamp invite, and now everything gets harder. So it's important.
That's crazy. But you obviously killed it, man. You had a killer pro day, and that helped you get to where you are. You signed with the Jets practice squad on August 27th. I know that was obviously probably no surprise for you. And then you made your debut. I was there for your debut here down in Tampa on September 21st. It was a hot day. I was there with your dad. We were sweating, but it was worth every minute. And then you ultimately got signed to the active roster on November 5th for the rest of the season. What's the biggest difference? You've obviously played at a high level in college. You were the signal caller in college, and I remember you said your best ability is what's between your ears. Like you're a really smart football player, but what's kind of the biggest difference in game preparation or just preparation in general from playing in college to playing in the NFL?
I'd say that the biggest adjustment was the dynamic of how the business side coincides with the game-to-game, football games. So like even my journey, for example, I was cut after camp and then signed to the practice squad and then elevated, I think that was like week 4 or something like that. And then eventually signed to the active roster. So your reps are limited with, learning the scheme and stuff like that. So you really have to lock in and learn the mental side without the physical reps. So that's a big difference between college, because in college, at least in my college experience, I was always one of the guys. I got all the reps. You kind of got to restart. So, and when you first get to college too, like everybody does scout team, everybody does that. But the better football player you are, the faster you get, those first team reps and stuff like that. Same for high school or any level. But in the NFL, it's so dynamic week in, week out, because there's only 53 guys on the active roster, and then another, I think it's 16 guys practice squad. So it's a smaller roster than any other team, whether it was college or high school. So every guy has to practice like he's in prep, like he's a starter, because he couldn't play at any point. So I think that's the biggest difference that people don't realize is I was on the practice squad, and eventually I ended up starting football games. So that's a crazy jump that most people don't realize happens all the time, each and every week, all across the league.
That is crazy when you put it like that. I know Brandon wanted to ask you a couple questions about this past year.
Yeah, kind of going off the you just undrafted approach when you're going into like a practice or even just like a game situation. I mean, what's your mindset going into it, knowing that every snap is crucial to whether or not you're going to get those opportunities next week, be it next year, just all those.
Just taking one rep at a time, because you can't look at the grand scheme of things in that moment, because it can get overwhelming, or you can put yourself in a place that's not productive for you right now. So I think taking it one snap at a time and maximizing each and every snap, and knowing that you're putting your best effort and your best ability each and every play that you do, so therefore you can get more plays.
Yeah. Did you have a specific moment where you were like, okay, yeah, this is the NFL. This isn't college anymore. We're not at Fresno. We're not at Kent. Where you're like, okay, this is the real deal. This guy's been here for 5-6 years. He knows what he's doing.
I don't know if I have a specific moment.
Like a welcome to the NFL moment.
Yeah, like
someone
maybe
just
maybe the
rocked
guy
you
might.
and you were
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say if a guy might have got you at practice on a route or anything like that, where you're thinking, you're not guarding, like
Yeah,
I said, a college guy anymore.
I think one of the first, like, welcome to the NFL, we were doing a joint practice with the Giants. We were doing a special teams drill with them. So we were on punt return. They were practicing their punt scheme. And I was rushing through the A-gap to the personal protector. So the personal protector is the guy who stands back right in front of the punter. He usually has a cadence, and he snaps the ball and he protects and blocks in the inside gaps. So I'm a free rusher, and, I'm running into him full speed 5 yards away. And he lowers his shoulder and hits me right underneath my chin strap. Sometimes when your helmet's a little bit loose, like, it'll slide down and your chin strap hits you right in the neck, or like right in your in your throat. So that happened. I'm like, man, I'm surprised, like, him standing there, he was able to do that.
Just in place, just jacking you up.
Yeah, because I was running, I hit him pretty good, but, like, it's just collisions like that. Like I said, everybody's strong, everybody's big and fast. So that was definitely one of those moments I was like, yeah, man.
Like, oh man.
Yeah, you always hear announcers refer to that stuff in the NFL as like mini car wrecks. They look like it on TV, man. You see two guys like that just going full speed into each other. It's hectic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what a guy like that? You said the personal protector. What position would he play on defense, or even on offense? He could be like Is he a fullback, or is he a linebacker, or is it kind of just whoever fits that?
It depends. So, like for the Saints, their personal protector is Taysom Hill. But for most teams, it's usually a safety, because safety kind of coincides with, knowing all the checks, being smart, because they make the adjustments for the punt team unit. They handle the cadence. They're like the quarterback, fourth down quarterback. So they handle all that. So it's usually got to be somebody who's pretty smart. And then a guy like Taysom Hill, he's good at it because he's smart, and he can run a lot of fakes through him, because he can throw the ball, he can run the ball. So it's very dynamic.
Loves some creativity.
Yeah. So it could be any position, really, but it's an important one. And teams value that position as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, you hear coaches talk about special teams all the time. I don't believe in like one. I mean, I guess I believe in like one play could win or lose you a game, but I mean, special teams is important all the way. That's why these long snappers and these short snappers get paid so much, because that timing matters on the field goal. Just every little thing like that the average person watching a football game would never think about, but like it's a real thing. Just going off that, like we talked about, a big reason why you are where you are is because you're so smart and your football IQ is so high. But we also have talked about, and I like what Brandon just said with the whole, you hear guys talk about like being in car crashes every weekend. That's what it feels like after a football game in the NFL. But what do you think is harder, the physical side or the mental side of what you just experienced for your first year?
I'd probably say the mental side, because it's a long, 17. We played 17 game regular season, plus you got the 3 games of preseason, which for a guy like me, like, you're playing all those snaps and taking all those reps. So that's 20 games. The longest season before this I ever played was 14 in college. So that's 6 more games. It's a full-time job. Not that college wasn't, but still you got to break it to go to class, all that stuff like that. But we're in the facility all day for multiple weeks, traveling more. So it's tough on the mental side, and then losing games doesn't help either. That makes it make the season even longer. So I'd say that's probably the toughest thing for me, was the mental more than the physical, just the adjustment to that season length.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I just want to backtrack a little bit. You said something interesting that I haven't really thought of from a player perspective, the joint practices. As a fan, we always see the highlights. They really only show like when teams get into a fight and stuff. But I feel like the big mantra around that time is like teams are tired of beating up on each other. They just want to see an opponent. Is that the case? Is that something you guys like to do, the joint practices, or would you rather just kind of prepare like against yourselves, being that you're about to go play a full 17 game season and see those guys?
I think the joint practices are fun because, like you said, when you practice against each other for so long, you're seeing the same plays, the same schemes. To just get a breath of fresh air and see some new guys, challenge yourself differently with their scheme and their playmakers. I think it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, those are fun to see. Those get a little hectic. Those are good entertainment for us fans when we're watching
Yeah.
Sports Center at 10 a.m. eating our breakfast.
Bunch of dudes at a joint practice just acting like they're Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao.
It's good entertainment.
But obviously, I already referenced this before, but you made your NFL debut down here in Tampa where I'm at, which is kind of crazy how I was able to see that. And I remember you telling me after the game, like, obviously we know NFL players are good, but you really put emphasis on how good Baker Mayfield was, like playing quarterback, and you've seen a bunch of good quarterbacks in college. Was there a moment on the field where it hit you where you were lining up against a guy that you remember watching when you were a younger kid? Or, I mean, you played against future Hall of Famers this year, so is there anyone that really stuck out to you that you were lined up against?
I'd say when we played the Saints and Taysom Hill was getting a good amount of snaps all over the field. Like, obviously, he's been in the league a long time, and then seeing him do what he's doing still at this level at his age and whatever year he's in now, was pretty crazy. Just seeing him, take quarterback snaps, take snaps at running back, tight end, fullback, personal protector, like I said, too. Like, this guy's doing everything. And, obviously I watched him growing up and what he's done for the Saints and how important he's been to them. So that was kind of like crazy to see that he's still doing it at such a high level.
Yeah,
It's so funny too because they like once or twice a year they'll just pull out the Taysom Hill button and he'll just go off for like 150 all-purpose yards and then they'll just put him back in his box and wait till next year. You always got to try to time it up on fantasy football and you never can.
That's the ultimate Swiss Army knife, man. Yeah, you don't see that in the league, and you see how hard it is to play one position in the NFL, let alone a million like Taysom Hill does. I also remember you telling me how that first game that I was at, you just played special teams, which is different for you because you're used to playing. You played a bunch of special teams in college along with playing every snap at safety, being the signal caller. How important was special teams to really get your foot in the door and get you the opportunity that you had?
I mean, like I said, there's only 53 guys on the active roster, 48 guys dressed. So you're not dressing unless you can contribute on special teams if you're a backup on offense or defense. So you're not getting a helmet, you're not getting a jersey and dressing unless you can go contribute. So me having the ability to be able to earn the special teams coach trust and get out there and perform and make plays was huge and just keeping me on the field.
And I like what you said there about trust. Was there a moment for you, whether it be a practice or a game or even a film session, where you knew that the coaching staff did trust you, that your fellow teammates trusted you, that really gave you the confidence to play at the level that you're capable of playing at?
I don't know if there's ever a certain point, but I just feel like it's something that happens over time. Like when you keep showing up and keep doing the right things, and then you perform. Most importantly, obviously that trust develops, and that's something that just happened throughout training camp for us.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, what did you think was the hardest special teams role that you played this year? I feel like we always think probably kickoff, but rules changed. You're only 10 yards apart now. It's a little bit different. What did you think was toughest overall?
Definitely say kick return. Kick return's tough, but you're 5 yards away from this guy.
Okay, 5 yards, got you.
Yeah, 5. And you got to block this guy, another grown man who's trying to feed his family from making this play, making this tackle. It's definitely tough. It's not for the weak. It's one of the toughest jobs on the field.
Yeah, that's
And yeah,
interesting.
going off that. Yeah, go ahead, be saying.
I was just gonna say that's interesting. I remember going back to even like playing high school ball. Nobody wanted to do kickoff stuff, man. That shit was always miserable. Sucks.
Yeah. Remember for freshman year, Coach Lee was like, if you signed up to play football, get out of here. We're like, oh, damn. You don't want to do that.
Hate it.
But I like what you said there with a grown man trying to feed his family. And those are real dogs, too. Like, there's not just some average guy out here trying to feed his family. Like, it's a dude trying to feed his family that's the best at what he does in the world. And those are grown men. Like you said, you got your chin strap knocked back. But me and you always have conversations about weight room and like lifting and stuff. What's an NFL lifting week look like in terms of maybe the preseason and camp, and then also in the season? Like, how often are you guys working out?
Yeah, I mean, it changes based on what team and organization you're at, but I'd say pretty standard for most teams or guys that they lift, at least twice a week during the season. I think we lift 3 times a week. And usually lift the day after the game, that Monday, and then you'd have another lift Wednesday and Thursday during the week. And then Friday, you'd have your practice, and then Saturday walkthrough, travel, Sunday the game. So that's usually how it's structured. I'd say 2 to 3 times per week during the season. Obviously, in training camp and during the summer OTAs, you're lifting a lot more, probably 3 to 4 times a week now, and heavier and all that stuff.
That's a full week, man. Yeah, that's a full week. That just sounds busy. I was just gonna ask, did you have like a favorite amenity? I'm sure you spend plenty of time like in the locker room and around a ton of awesome equipment that we probably have never seen a day in our lives. And do you have a specific like favorite niche thing?
I'd say I don't think it's anything niche. I'd say it's the same stuff that you guys probably have seen or used. Like, I love the sauna. Like, it's obviously nice having a sauna in the building.
Yeah.
Hot tub, cold tub. That's all there. That's always nice. Anything crazy? I'd say it's not from a recovery standpoint, but we go to a barbershop that they have barbershops.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about. If you guys had anything crazy like that.
They charge you for a haircut?
Yeah, you still pay for a haircut. Still pay for the haircut.
How much is a haircut out there in the facility? How much you gotta give them?
It's about $50. 50.
So that's smooth.
Not too crazy, but it's nice.
It's market rate.
Yeah, because I can go to work and get a haircut.
Eat good. How's the food?
Yeah, food's great. It's the best of the best. Full chef, full kitchen. Like, you're eating good. No complaints there.
I remember you would send us pictures of just like your locker, the new jerseys y'all got, the Gotham City ones. Those were cool. But was there anything about an NFL locker room that surprised you in terms of like what you guys have in there, how it's set up, or kind of what goes on?
I'd say nothing that necessarily surprised me. I think the biggest adjustment was the shift in the equipment that you got. So like in college, especially going to Kent State and Fresno State, they have certain equipment allotments that they get. So only a certain amount of stuff. But in the NFL, there's only 32 teams. And they have, obviously have the best, sponsored by Nike, they get as much as they want. So in college, you can only get, a hoodie here, a hoodie there. You can't grab all this stuff. But in the NFL, you obviously have all the resources to get whatever you need at any time.
You guys are geared out then. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what them kids like, man.
Have you gotten any gear from from Fresno or Kent? I always see on social media they send pros gear and stuff that were alumni. Have you received anything like that yet? I know this was just year one.
Fresno sent me over a box with some gear in it, which is always much appreciated. Good for the offseason.
Yeah, I always like to watch those videos. Those are always cool.
And how is it being in an NFL locker room with guys who they've been in the league for a while, man? I remember you were talking about Tyrod Taylor in there. He's obviously been a legend. I know Brandon loves him. He wishes Buffalo kept him as a quarterback. But how is it being in a locker room with guys who have ultimately accomplished a career that you want to accomplish? Obviously, you love football more than anything, and you want to make it last. But how is it being in a locker room with those veteran guys?
Definitely a cool experience. Always trying to be a sponge in there and soak up any information you can from those type of guys. And just kind of observing how they treat their workday, because ultimately we're at work, and there's a way to go about it. And obviously, those guys who have played multiple years in the league, they do things the right way, and they've played that long for a reason. So, kind of watching them day to day, see the habits they have, and trying to replicate that into my routine.
Was there a guy that you can specifically point out, or that you kind of try to watch a little bit more than others? Was there a guy that really helped you out along the way, and maybe he doesn't even know he helped you out?
There was a couple. I wouldn't say anybody. Like I said, I'm just watching the guys that have 7, 10 years, 12 years in the league, watching all the things that they might be doing and seeing what I can take to implement my routine. So not one guy that stuck out, but there's a bunch.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's a business. Like you said, it's your job. It's crazy. People look at the NFL and we think it's all just fun and games. These guys get to play a sport on TV once a week, but it's a full-time job. You're in there all day, every day. Can you kind of give us a day in the life?
Training camp is obviously busy, but I think the season is just as busy. I mean, a full day. So Tuesday would be an off day. Tuesdays are our only off day during the week, but obviously it's not really an off day. You got to go take care of your body. You got to do the type of stuff. But you don't have any obligation. And then Wednesday is our first practice day, usually the longest day of the week. I was a morning lift guy, so that you go in at lift at 7 a.m., then you go straight to meetings and stuff like that. And I was always in the building from 7 a.m. to at least, 7 o'clock at night at the earliest. So those are usually 12-hour days, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday is kind of like a half day. You won't have those evening meetings. So you'll just have that morning meetings, practice. We usually get out the building around like 2 or 3. So you have that evening. And then Saturday is a full day again because you have practice. And then depending on where the game is, you're traveling, you're going to the hotel. And then Sunday you play. On Monday, the same thing. You're meeting, lift, review the game. It's kind of a half day, another half day like a Friday. But, I mean, you're working 6 days out of the week.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, and that's all interesting stuff too, because that's stuff people don't see behind the scenes. You ask 95% of people if they're going to go into work on their day off, whether it just be to sit there and recover their body, they're going to tell you no.
yeah.
But that's something I didn't know. Even, days off, you're still showing up to the facility, recovering your body, getting things done, maybe watching film.
Yeah, honestly, probably just not even thinking about it. I probably, from training camp all the way into the end of the season, I was probably at the building every single day, even with off days, because, you go in to take care of your body or eat or treatment or film study. So I don't think there ever was a day where I was not at the building for that whole 3-4 month stretch.
Like, what's your mindset going into that? Obviously, you were undrafted rookie. You're out here, doing anything you can to just really keep the position that you got. I know it's grueling. Like, you love football more than anything. What kind of did you do to help balance your mental well-being with all that and life in general and with football? Like, what was something you did during the season to help you just stay grounded?
Just being process oriented. I've always been a big process guy, taking everything, making sure I'm checking these things off my checklist as I go out through the day. So I'm always warming up a certain way. I always have a cool down. Always doing treatment. So just getting through those things, even if you don't want to do them, because eventually it's going to pay off. So just showing up each and every day, keeping my routine, keeping my habits, and keeping the process first. Ultimately, no matter what the results.
That's pretty cool, man. I do remember you've always been like that, man. You're always foam rolling at sleepovers and stuff. You've always had your routine. We would go work out, and you'd have to stretch for 100 minutes before the workout. I'm out here trying to get stuff done, and you're out there taking care of your body. But it's paid off, man. So you know what the hell you're doing. But what is something kind of? We talked about the locker room, and like you see guys in there every day, but then you don't see them because ultimately the NFL is a business. So what's really something about the business side of the NFL that the average person really wouldn't understand?
Yeah, like you said, like one day someone can be there, next day they're gone. So a lot of people think, obviously it's a blessing to play in the NFL. It's a great career. Um, you're compensated well. It's a dream come true. But at the same time, there's guys that I've seen guys get called in on a Monday, come to the team, and then released by Friday. And then the same thing happened. They get called to another team. Same thing happened. So they're moving back and forth across the country every week, moving around. So, it's a tough business. Like I said, each and every day you got to earn your keep in your locker in the building, because if not, someone's either trying to take your spot or they're trying to get rid of you. So
That's crazy, man.
How would you say like NIL as a whole has changed since you walked, into Kent? Not sure if it was quite kicking in 2019 when you got there, but I know the Flash Collective thing did start up. And then obviously to where we're at now, where it's literally the Wild West. How did you navigate it then? And then looking at it where it's at now, how do you think you would have kind of went through the process of it? And do you think you could have like maybe capitalized more looking back at it now?
yeah, it's definitely a lot different. It's cool to see it evolve. I think when I first got to college, there was no NIL. You couldn't make money off your name, image, or likeness in any way, shape, or form. And I think maybe my second year or sophomore or junior year, I think is when it kicked in, when you could. And at first, it was just guys trying to make, brand deals, stuff like that. You own YouTube channel, doing content, just trying to make any type of revenue you could from that type of thing. It wasn't to a point where guys were getting paid just to play. But now I think that's where it is now. Like you don't even need you're getting paid to play. They do revenue sharing now. So that money's getting split up. You don't have to do any promotion. You just do what every college kid's been doing for so many years, just play ball, work out, and now you're getting paid to do it. So it's definitely cool to see. I mean, it's hard to get into college and play at that level too, to a point where you get paid. So good for those guys to get compensated for that. But from a way I could have maximized it more, I think a lot of guys, you see them transfer a lot more now. When I transferred, and I was a thing, but like it wasn't a market like there is now where you could go and get, $100,000, $200,000 if you transferred somewhere. So maybe if the timing was a little bit different, if I would have stayed, at Fresno one last year, I probably could have transferred and got paid, but I loved it at Fresno. So I decided to stay. But it's definitely a crazy, landscape of how it is now.
Yeah, it's literally turned into like mini free agency. It just obviously closed 2 weeks ago, and just being a fan, obviously looking at it, you pay attention to 24/7, and you watch it, and you see somebody commit, like you said, you see a break that they got, $2 million. You go play football there, and it's like just a few years ago, we were excited about giving kids $200 to be in the NCAA game and have licensing. So just in 3 to 4 years, the steps they've taken, it's insane.
No, it's crazy. Like I think nowadays with the revenue sharing, that every single guy on the team is getting paid in some way, shape, or form. Like
Did you get a
in the
chance to
early,
see what I was just gonna ask? Did you get a chance to see what Dion's doing about like the fines and everything at Colorado, fining players in
yeah,
college?
yeah, I did see that, and I think that's a good thing to have. I mean, if they're paying them that much money, it's a job. They're paying them to show up and do their job, so you get fined, in accordance with that.
I guess that was my thought, was for like the lower level guys, maybe that aren't getting $500,000, $1 million. Like, what if they miss a practice and they're getting fined 1,500? So what you were saying, like you said, the lower level guys are still getting like revenue sharing and everything like that.
Yeah, so like most Division I schools now, since they have the revenue sharing, like everybody's getting like I don't know if you remember when NIL kind of first popped up and SMU was the first team to say like every single guy on our roster is going to get like $30,000 a year. Now it's like that for every team.
Okay,
Everybody's making money because of
I
the
guess I
revenue.
didn't. Yeah, I didn't know there was a set thing.
Yeah, there's a base rate for everybody now. Like, if you're on the team, you're getting paid. Obviously, that might change from being at a Kent State to going to Alabama. Like, obviously, those rates are different. But I'm pretty sure at every single school, guys are getting paid.
You talked about that you would navigate it a little bit different, but how was NIL for you though? Because I know, I mean, you had a couple deals that you were doing with different brands and social media stuff. Kind of,
It was good. I like I said, I was kind of in that, you know, from there where there was none into the small brand deals, and then a little bit of the collective era where collectives were paying you. So I never got to touch that big money deals the guys are making now, but I was blessed enough to work with different companies and be able to get products and services in exchange for promotion.
and I'm sure you built good relationships with that too. Like, I mean, yeah, monetary value is good, but I mean, it's more about relationships. I feel like that's kind of the guy you are. So,
Yeah, for
I mean, yeah,
sure.
man, I wish I could have made some NIL deals back in my day, but I mean, just going off like what you guys are talking about, like you see guys now hitting the transfer portal, but you also see a college guy re-sign, like a college guy sign, like that's insane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's honestly the for coaches, college coaches is really tough because the for smaller schools the hardest part now is not even acquiring guys; it's retaining the talent you already have. It's like you go to a Kent State now and you have a great year. Like, how are you going to keep that guy at Kent State? Well, it's almost impossible because all these schools are going to come for him and offer him this money. So like talent retainment is a big deal now. And it used to be just like these guys are signed, like they're not going anywhere. Like he committed to us. You had to sit a year if you transferred. Like
right.
all those old rules, like it's out the door.
That's crazy. There's guys that are in college that some of them are getting paid more than you right now. They'll never make it to the NFL, which is crazy.
Yeah,
You're an undrafted rookie on a rookie minimum. People don't understand that. People think, oh, we see him on TV. He's in the NFL. He's a millionaire. How different is an NFL rookie minimum deal? Just different than what people would actually think.
yeah. I mean, obviously, still make great money. I'm very blessed to be in the NFL, but you know, a lot of people don't know, pay a lot of taxes. There's a thing called a jock tax, so you pay tax in every single state you play in, along with the regular taxes that you pay for living and playing in New Jersey. A lot of taxes that go into it, and then obviously I don't have there's no guaranteed money for a late round guy, undrafted guy, but yeah, from that perspective, it's a lot different. From the top of the roster to the bottom of the roster, obviously the money is different. For a guy like a Patrick Mahomes, who's signed to a 10-year, 300 million guaranteed, like yeah, obviously his contracts. That's a great one. But for most,
Yeah, he's chilling.
yeah, but I'd say like the other 60% of the NFL are guys each and every year trying to earn that year to play because usually there's not a lot of guaranteed contracts in
That's just crazy to think about, man. Like you said earlier, guys, strongest dudes in the world out there trying to feed their family, trying to run through your face from 5 yards away, and that's not going to change ever, man. We talk about football a lot, but what gets you up outside of ball, man? Like we know you're a football player, or has there been anything else in life that's kind of given you a little bit of a spark that you'll want to take it long term?
I'd say from a motivation standpoint, my faith is always big. Just knowing that, there's a higher power and the Lord every day shows up for me that I can show up for Him and continue to exemplify Him in everything I do. And then my family, them always supporting me in everything I do, wanting to give back to them. And then also my community, my friends, stuff like that. Just always trying to be a light in somebody's life and, give back where I can, my time, my energy, and my effort. That always, gets me excited, gets me up. Like I always like to give my time when I can to whoever and whatever it may be, because I believe your time is the most important asset you have because you don't know how much you have of it. So.
And I know Brandon wanted to ask you a little bit about. You mentioned community. I know Brandon mentioned something earlier.
That's a good bridge to it. The community thing specifically, I noticed week like 12 and 13, the My Cause, My Cleats you did, the Boys and Girls Club of Massillon. Kind of what was that process like? Did you have any say in like the design of it? I'm sure you obviously, got in contact with the artists and everything. What was it like going through that and then just seeing like the feedback from the kids and everything, the t-shirts, signs, all that cool stuff?
Yeah, it was really cool. Obviously, the My Cause, My Cleats is a thing the NFL does every year, which allows players to showcase, a charitable nonprofit of their choice. And I selected the Massillon Boys and Girls Club because that was someplace that I grew up. Obviously, and you guys have been there. Spent a lot of time there. That's where I started playing football, started playing basketball. And it's a building and a service full of people that just make kids' lives better. So to be able to showcase them and show my gratitude to them by getting those cleats made and customized to display to the world the Massillon Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, it was sweet, man. I mean, you guys are all looking at 3 club kids here, so to see that, it was pretty awesome. And I didn't even think of that question literally until today. I was driving home from work, and like literally right before, about 100 yards from my driveway, I saw a Boys and Girls Club van, and I knew we were doing this today, so I definitely
Derek
wanted
was
to fit
probably
that
in there.
I know, man. I know. Good old Derek. I saw that too. I think. Did you get a chance to get Coach Derek, a jersey?
Yeah, I think my dad gave him a jersey to donate to a kid there. Pretty cool thing.
Yeah, that's all pretty sweet.
I was
going
to ask you about that, man. I loved what you did with that. I saw it on Facebook, actually. Who did you end up? I know you gave. I only saw 3. It might have been the only 3 that you did give jerseys to back at our high school. But who did you give jerseys to and why?
Yeah, so I went back to the high school. At the end of the year, you get a chance to buy all your game-worn jerseys that you use throughout the season. So I did that, and I signed them and left a message. I gave one to Coach Nate Moore, Cale Miller, Coach Hackenbrack, and Coach Studer, because I really think and believe that going to Massillon and having those guys in my life at that point, kind of changed the trajectory of my life and instilled behaviors and a mindset and a culture that I carried with me until now. So I'm forever grateful to those guys. And I thought the least I could do is, give them a jersey and sign it and express my gratitude.
Yeah, no, that was
For
awesome,
sure.
man. I love seeing that. And those dudes love it too because football is their life. And like you said, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be in the position you are. And I know Brandon can say the same thing. And I could say the same thing as well. No one can do life alone.
Yeah.
Like no one. It's impossible. So yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. But would you say, I mean, me and him know you pretty well, but people listening might not. Have you changed anything about your lifestyle in the past year, or did you buy anything? Did you get yourself a special? You got what's that, like that red light therapy or whatever? You got anything special now that you bought on your own?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple recovery things. Like you said, I mentioned the red light panels, not a hyperbaric chamber. It's an oxygen chamber. It helps with recovery. Um, I'm always trying to, invest into myself and buy things that can, help me take care of my body because my body is my business at the end of the day. So the better prepared it is, and the more I can do to stay healthy, the better.
I like that, man. My body's my business. I need to start taking that and putting that into action. I like that.
Yeah, you do. We've been talking about that. I remember we went to your preseason game and you dapped him up. And you were like, "Damn, feel his bones."
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
we'll get him there though, man. We'll get him there. But no, that reminds me. I remember me and you were working out in the summer, Dean. You were like, "Yeah, I mean, I work out for a living," and that was one of the coolest things I've ever heard. Which is, I mean, that's people's dream, man.
No, it's,
Like you say, I work out for a living. It's real.
no, it's cool. It's a blessing.
Just wrapping up here. Just looking back, I know a lot of people back in the community. I know you're a big community guy, and you know people look up to you. There's people, little kids that look up to you. There's or people that aren't much younger than us that look up to you. And there's probably people that are older than us that look up to you as well. But what advice would you give someone who's maybe in middle school, college, high school, college now? Just what advice would you give them to, or what they want to do to achieve their dreams, or if it's the NFL or if it's something else?
I'd say that the first thing is just be consistent and then stay process oriented. That belief that I talked about. I actually saw a thing in my phone the other day. I was kind of scrolling through it and I saw like my freshman year, I had a chalkboard in my room, drew up in all the goals I had for the year. And it's like I was reading it and it's like I feel like to be 6'3" on there, be,
We know that ain't happening, baby.
be yeah, to be 200 pounds or something like as a freshman and then like have 700 yards receiving and then sign to Ohio State. But at no point did I not believe that I could, play Division One or play in the pros. Like I always believed, and I set goals that were, that reflected that. And even though like I didn't sign to Ohio State, I didn't get to be 6'3", but I shot so high that I eventually landed on, still great things. I just say always aim high, keep showing up. It's going to be hard at some point, and it's the people that keep going even when it gets hard that continue to realize their dreams.
Yeah, exactly. Is there something that you've done your entire football career and in life that you find yourself still doing today in the pros that you would give a ton of credit to why you are where you are, whether it's physical, mental, on the field or off the field?
I'd say there's probably two things. Every single night since I was in high school, I have a night routine where I'll stretch, I'll roll out, and I'll take time to usually do some type of journal or something like that. So that's been a big part of my routine. And then the other thing I say is praying. Before every game and every day in general, I'll sit there and pray and talk to God, and just tell Him how I might be feeling or what I need, what I'm thankful for, and et cetera. And I think that's a big way to stay connected and stay in the moment as well.
No, that's
Just
awesome.
doing all
I
the
love
small
it.
things right, man. Doing all the small things right. That's what it sounds like.
Did you have a question you wanted to ask about this?
Not really, man. Not really. I mean, just to wrap
Yeah.
up. I mean, you got any main goals or main focus? Anything going into the off season or looking ahead to year two? Kind of anything you really want to lock in on?
Just becoming a better football player. Obviously, coaches, GMs, your teammates, they want to see the biggest jump from year one to year two because now I know the schedule, I know the layout, I know the league, how it operates. So being able to really dial in and make a big jump and being a bigger, better contributor for the team.
But yeah.
For sure. Well, I know we're excited for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I like that. Or is that something you realize? Did you already know that? I mean, I don't think people really think about that either. They think, oh, year one, he was out there, he's automatically going to be there next year and the year after that. But is that something that's really a point of emphasis? They want to see that big jump from your first year to your second year.
Yeah, I mean, most of the league, you're not on a guaranteed contract. And even if you are on a guaranteed contract, they can still cut you. If another guy's outperforming you and more productive, like they'll use him instead and just pay you the money to have you sit at home. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize that they think you get drafted, you get signed, you see the guys sign 3-year deals, 2-year deals, whatever it is. Like those deals are 1-day deals. You get one day, each and every day you show up, you do your job, you get another day. So that's kind of how it works in the league, and I think in most professional sports. And that's something that people don't realize. But yeah, each and every day you got to earn your keep in the locker room and in the building.
The real thing, man. I like that. 2-year deal? Nah. 3-year deal? Nah. One day. You got 24 hours, big fella. You better not fuck it up. But just, I mean, we talked about everything, man. And just to wrap it up, who would you credit most, or who do you think about when you go to work every day? Because like we said, you can't do it alone. Who are those people that come to mind that you would give credit for you being in the position that you're in now?
Yeah, it goes back to my faith first of all, then my family and my community. Without those things and that support system around me, like I don't get to where I'm at. I don't have the same mentality. I don't have the same belief if those people don't show up for me each and every day. So I really believe in how important they were in my life.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. And then just the last question that I got. I don't know if Brandon has anything else, but just when you are done playing one day, because nothing is forever, what do you want people to remember about you, not just as a football player, but as a man?
Somebody who gave light in their lives, showed up, smiled, gave their time, had a good time. Like there's nothing monetary or, just he was a light. Like when he showed up, no matter where it was, no matter what time of the day, he was a light. Like that's what I want to be remembered for as.
What about as a football player, though? Because I mean, we know Dean, you're kind of quiet. You don't say much, but they call you Mean Dean for a reason. How do you want to be remembered as a football player? Because earlier before the season, I remember you talking about special teams. It's you versus another man. You got to run through his face. So what do you want people to remember you as a football player? Because I know people remember you hit sticking people back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, football is a violent sport, so you always want to be known as physical and aggressive. And then from a teammate perspective, I always want my teammates to know they can trust me and they can count on me to have their back.
Oh, I do have one last. This is a good top off. What was it like to sack Jameis, man? What was that like? Did he make any goofy ass noise, or did he do anything? Jameis is a funny guy.
Nah, nothing crazy, but that was another surreal moment. Jameis
Yeah,
wins,
for sure.
Heisman winner, NFL, been in the NFL a while, so honestly, everything happened so fast. You don't get a chance to really think about it until, later down the road, but definitely a cool moment.
Yeah, that was probably. I mean, I know that was way back in preseason and everything, but I think that was probably one of my favorite memories from year one. I remember it
We were
happened. I
watching
stood
it
up and I
live.
was like, Jameis!
Yeah, you had an interception that game too, I believe. That was a big game for you. Was there kind of a moment in the season where you were like, oh man, did you take a second to like look in the stands and be like, okay, I'm gonna take 8 to 10 seconds by myself. I'm in the NFL, but now it's back to business. Or was there just you're out there playing ball?
I think that first game I was active, or really the first preseason game in Green Bay. Just, out in the stadium. Obviously a great place to have your first NFL preseason game be a historic place. Great fan base. So that was pretty cool just to look around, see the stands filled, see the NFL logo on your chest, and go play the game you've been playing since I was 7 years old.
That's
Crazy,
something
man.
really, that's something else I want to point out too, that I remember you saying. That was your first time ever stepping in an NFL stadium, was stepping on the field to play. So that's something that that knocked me back just for a second in terms of like looking at it in the grand scheme of things. The first time this guy ever even watches a game, he's participating in the game.
Yeah, that
It's
was
nuts.
crazy.
But
First time.
yeah,
First time
I couldn't believe that.
playing in it.
I could not believe that.
I don't think
But
anyone else could really say that, man. That's his first ever NFL game he was at. He was a player. Well, I don't got nothing else. I don't know if Braden does, but
nah, that's it, man. Appreciate it a ton.
yeah, man. I thought it was only right for our first guest to be you, just given that we all grew up together. Brandon would walk out the room, and me and you would put baby powder on his bed, and he would come lay in his bed, and he couldn't breathe for 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah, he was pissed.
but it's just stuff like that, man. So,
That might have been like the maddest B saying ever was the baby powder.
hey, Brady.
Yep. Baby powder in the bed. Just imagine a whole bottle just getting sprinkled all over
It
your
was hot.
mattress. And then they leave the crib. They don't even stay to enjoy the aftermath. They just leave your crib. Just bounce to leave you with a mess. It's the
Or
type
we
of
were
guys we're
throwing
dealing with
rocks.
here, man. Real solid.
We were throwing rocks in the pool, and he was at the bottom trying to pick them all up, and then we just dropped a brick in there.
Good peoples. Good peoples.
But no, man, for real. Hey, thank you so much for hopping on here with us, man. We talked about this before, but we wanted to give you space and wait till the end of the season. Yeah, man. Just thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Hell yeah.